everybody! Hi. Welcome to episode 33 of the Make Things Club podcast. My name is Sarah. I live in Edmonton with my fiance, soon-to-be husband, and my 2 cats. It is November 25th. It's been slightly over 2 months since my last podcast. I apologize for not having any energy to just get back into it, and this will probably be my last formal podcast until February of 2018, just because I'm getting married in 56 days and a lot needs to get done and I still need to maintain my sanity. So we're gonna probably call this the last one until I'm married. I do want to do some like vlog style postings of just little updates and that kind of thing, so we'll see how that goes. I'm not gonna make any promises because I'm really good at breaking my promises, but for the next 2 or 3 months I'm hoping to do just like vlogs, basically. There's really not another way to describe that, but just things I'm up to, things I'm working on, just little dumb recordings, and throw them together in a video and make it all make sense and then upload it, just to kind of keep some stuff happening on this channel. So that's kind of the plan for the next little bit. So today I kind of want to just catch everybody up to what's been going on, what's happening. I never did a Knit City video yet, and it's been over 2 months since Knit City happened. So I put some kind of videos at the beginning just kind of showing the Knit City experience from when I remembered to record things and when I actually was paying attention to, you know, using my phone and all of that kind of stuff. I'm still not a good vlogger. Maybe that'll be a goal for the new year. But I've already put in some of my Knit City videos and just things that we got up to while we were there. I'll talk about some of the things that I got from Knit City, just kind of experience of it. And I have drawn prizes for the Fuck It, I'm Fine knit along. I have some other stash enhancement stuff. I have an update on some finished objects, and I only really am working on one thing right now, which if you've followed me on Instagram, you know it's my wedding shawl. So that's kind of the plan for today. I didn't write notes. I have some important things on a note card, but I haven't written any official notes, so we're just gonna wing it again like usual. And I'm hoping to have this uploaded as soon as possible, just to get another thing off my to-do list. So that being said, let's just kind of jump right into it. So if you're a new viewer of this podcast, thank you so much, number one, for just checking in and seeing what this channel is all about. There have been a bunch of new subscribers lately, which I'm kind of shocked by just because I'm so inconsistent. So thank you to everyone who's been subscribing. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for sticking with me, even though I feel bad for how inconsistent I am. But let's be honest, life happens, and I don't get paid to do this, so this is kind of like the bottom of my totem pole sometimes when I have a wedding to plan and all of that stuff to do. But I really do appreciate the people that stick around with me, even though I'm the worst for drawing prizes for knit-alongs, and I am who I am. Thanks for liking me despite all of my flaws. So yeah, if you would like to follow along on any form of social media where I am a little bit more consistent, I would highly recommend you just, you know, do the Instagram thing. My stories kind of end up being vlogs at some point, and I'm really sad that I can't change the orientation of the videos on Instagram stories, because if that were the case, I could just flip them into, you know, landscape mode and then just upload them that way. But no, we have to do portrait mode, and there's, you know, no way that I would upload a video in portrait. It's just not my deal. So you can find me on Instagram as Loose Pages. I'm also active on Twitter and Pinterest and all of that other stuff, but Instagram's the most likely place that you'll kind of come across any good regular content. We also have a Ravelry group for this page, and you can find it by searching Make Things Club in the group tab, and you'll find that it has been dormant for a little while because nobody's posted in it, including myself. So Sorry about that. But it does exist if you wanted to join. And you can find me as romperlust on Ravelry. That's the name that I have there. So yeah, that's kind of how I would recommend finding me on the internet, although I'm kind of all over it at this point. What else? That's kind of it for intros, I think. So where we had left off the last time, I don't even remember, but I went through my Ravelry projects and kind of checked all the dates on them to know what I had finished and what I hadn't finished before the last podcast that I recorded on September 20th. So I'll just kind of go right into the finished objects at this point because, no, wait, no, I have to do my knit-along stuff. Yeah. Maybe in the new year I'll be more organized and I'll have like segments and order. We'll see. Maybe that could be a 2018 married Sarah who has lofty goals and organization skills. We'll see if that happens. So anyways, let's go into backtrack mode a bit and talk about the knit-along that I was hosting. So this was a knit-along that, if you hadn't been aware of it, and I think I might do it, it might be a once a year kind of thing, because I really like how it went and I really liked how people, you know, were inspiring me and we were all inspiring each other, and it just kind of felt like a giant circle of love and support, and I think I just want to repeat that as much as possible because it really did feel good to be part of the community during that time and see everybody else kind of challenging themselves to be happy and accept themselves for who they are right now instead of wishing that they were better or wishing that you were the version of yourself from 5 years ago, that kind of thing. So the knit-along was called Fuck It, I'm Fine. And the premise was that you had to knit yourself a sweater or a garment that was basically, you know, made for yourself at this time. It wasn't that sweater that you'll work on in, you know, a year when you've lost those 20 pounds or, you know, just kind of that goal sweater or like that goal shirt that you're just like, I really want to knit this, but I'll wait until I'm a perfect version of myself. So the premise was basically just to, you know, encourage some self-love and not wait around to treat yourself, but treating yourself now in the body that you have and being appreciative of all the things that you can do now instead of waiting until there's this hypothetical perfect wait or perfect time to do something. So that knit-along ended back in October. I locked the thread while I was at Knit City for the finished objects. I've already drawn the prizes with the random number generator. And I feel bad. I made my fiance, I made Ross look, and I was just like, hey, I didn't rig this at all, like I swear. But anyways, I'll go into the prize winning thing now. So the second prize that I have created that was graciously donated to me. Does this even make sense? Is this English? But the second prize was for just kind of a chatter thread. So people were encouraged to post encouraging messages or, you know, just kind of engage with each other in the chatter thread. And I really like doing a second prize for people who engage. Like, it's one thing to kind of knit something, submit your FO, and then kind of FO yourself. But it's another thing to kind of engage in the process and be part of like the group chat and, you know, just kind of encouraging people along the way. So I always like to do a chatter thread random prize giveaway for people who have been kind of participating in the chatter thread. So the second prize is my chatter thread prize, and I got a skein of Haven Fiber Arts. This is her old label, but Jess graciously donated a skein of sock yarn for me to give away for the second prize. This is her True Sock 4-ply. It's an 85/15 superwash merino nylon. There's 437 yards, so it's a good size. And this is her lavender colorway. So I'll just show it up, and my cats are fighting on the bed now, so you might hear some carnage. But this is the lavender colorway. So it's beautiful purples. There's some green speckles in there, some pinks. Jess is a wizard. If you've never, you know, used her yarn before, she's kind of my yarn dealer, my local yarn dealer, so check her out. But it's beautiful. So this is the second prize skein. I was also given a couple patterns to donate, and actually one of them is new since the last time I had podcasted. So Megan Nodecker of Pip and Pin, who was the pattern designer of both of my Mount Pleasants, which are right here, that I had knit during the knit-along, She's donated a prize of your choice to the first and second place winners. And then Sarah Stevens, who I had gotten a message from on Ravelry, had also decided to donate some of her patterns as well. So each winner will get 2 patterns from Sarah and from Megan of their choice, and then the yarn on top of it. So it's pretty good. So my second place winner is River and Fur, who is Janina. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. But she won the second prize, and she is also a pattern designer herself, so you can check her out. Her Ravelry name is River and Fur. But you've won this game and 2 pattern prizes, so I am still not sure if I'm gonna post the winners on Ravelry, or if I'm just gonna do that thing where I'm hoping you'll watch, because we're supposed to be like watching this, and just wait for her to get in touch with me. But get in touch with me, send me your address, let me know that you've watched this, and give me your info, and I can send this out to you ASAP. And then for the first prize winner, and I swear to God I did not rig this, I just feel really weird because the winner is actually iFidelity, who is post number 8 in the finished objects thread, and that happens to be my sister-in-law. And I did not rig it, I promise, but I feel really weird like giving a grand prize away to my sister-in-law. But I swear I didn't rig it. This was all legit. I didn't even look. I wrote down all of the info first before I even checked the thread. So I swear it's all in honest. But Caitlin, you've won. And I'm excited because it means I still get to touch this. A skein of Palindrome Knits, who is Hannah Schmidt, and she's got this amazing yarn that she's dyed. I've got a couple skeins myself. But this is the Neon Graffiti colorway in her Kiss of Fingering, which is a 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, 10% nylon. So Caitlin, this is yours. I still get to have it in my life and see it around, which is pretty cool. And I swear I didn't rig it. So this is yours, Caitlin. You also get 2 patterns. So basically you know how to get a hold of me. It's not hard. You can just like show up at my house. But that's basically the finished objects. That's basically the prizes for the knit along. I will include a couple other things in these when I send them out, but that's kind of the meat and potatoes of it. I'm not going to be running any knit alongs for the next little bit because I am real bad at getting these things done. So congrats to everybody who finished a project, who worked on something, who engaged with the threads, who, you know, felt confident or really challenged their negative self-talk when it comes to their bodies and just confidence and all that kind of stuff. It was really awesome. And like I said, I would like to do this kind of again or on a regular basis just because it's such a warm, fuzzy, happy, it's a good time. It's a good time. We're all good people. We're a pretty sweet community and pretty supportive. So it was just kind of nice to have that. I'm probably going to do it again because who doesn't want more of that in their life, right? Right. So that's that. I guess we can go into finished objects now, now that I'm finished, all of that. So the first thing that I have, and this is honestly something I'm probably gonna rip out, I finished my Lagome hat, which I'm not sure if I was talking about in the last episode or not. I might have started it because I finished it. It was probably mostly done because I had finished it the same day that I had podcast. So if I'm talking about this again, I'm sorry. I didn't even write show notes for the last episode either because I really fell off the deep end. Anyways, this is my Lagome hat, and it's a pattern, it's a free pattern on Ravelry by Stitch Provision. And I knit this out of Cascade Eco Highland Duo. And this is the Cafe au Lait colorway. So it's basically just a 1x1 rib hat. It's got, I don't know if you can kind of see, a nice little halo on it. This yarn shed more than my cat's when I was working on it. And just simple decreases. So it's just a pretty simple hat. The one thing about this guy is that it's not slouchy enough. And I really should just one of these days wear my hair down when I'm doing this because I get cone head hat. But it really doesn't slouch as much as I want it to. So I've blocked it. I've worn it a couple times and I just kind of feel like it's beanie style instead of slouch hat like I was wanting. So there's a part of me that wants to rip it out and do it again. But that part of me does not want to do that right now. So I keep wearing it. It's very nice and cozy. I really like the halo that it has, which you really can't quite see. Well, I guess maybe. But it's just a nice simple hat. Simple pattern. Just too short. And yeah, when it comes to just learning how to do slouch better, I still have a ways to go on that because I find that every hat that I knit doesn't slouch quite like I want it to. And my hair's all flat. So still working around with the adventures in sock knitting. Sock knitting. Slouch hat knitting. What's wrong with me? Anyways, legom hat. Probably already talked about this recently, so I'm not going to go too far into it because it's really just a 1x1 rib hat and it's easy. So that's number 1. Number 2, which was a long time work in progress, was my Parker Street shawl, which is hanging up behind me here. So this is a pattern. It's a paid pattern on Ravelry by Sylvia, who is Soft Sweater Knits, and it's pretty large. So I started this right after Knit City last year, so I believe it was sometime in November 2017. I ran out of yarn. Well, I didn't run out of yarn, but I ran out of as much yarn as I wanted. I also just kind of didn't really, it's not that I didn't like knitting the pattern, it's that I lost interest in it pretty quick, and it just wasn't something that I jived with really early on. So this one did a lot of hibernating over the past year. So when I picked it up again, because I think I was working on it slowly over the last little bit, so I started off really, really hard, and then I got to like the second chart, and then I kind of just waned a bit. And then I had problems with the app that I was using to chart, to use the charts and count my rows and know the patterns. It kept resetting every time that I would use a different project, which I think is the reason why I accidentally knit chart B twice, which would explain why this thing is literally a blanket. So this has an accidental second chart repeat in it, which makes it huge. And as a result, I still, even though I bought an extra skein of this yarn at Knit City this year, I still ran out of yarn because it's not supposed to be this big and you're supposed to have more garter stitch at the end. So it's not quite written to pattern. It is huge. It's huge, but it is awesome for work. It is basically it substitutes my blanket at work because it's usually quite cold in my office. So you got one, and I'm just gonna let's do camera frames. So if we do this, 1, 2, so it's, oh yeah, it's not bad. It's like half, I can get half of it in at once. There's one half, there's the other half. It's pretty large. So I've been wearing it kind of out when it's been cold, just kind of like this, my jacket. And because it's so large around the neck, I can't zip up my jacket when I do it, so it's got quite a long little thing on it. So at least I can cover the front when I am outdoors. And then at work, I just do the old lady thing, which is one of my favorite ways to wear shawls, where you just put it on your shoulders like this. And then if I'm really cold, I can wrap it around and basically like wear it like a shrug. So it's awesome. I really like it. I love how it's a neutral, but it still has texture. It was knit with Sweet Fibers Canadian yarn. So this, I believe, is their undyed version, and this colorway is called Mountain Top. And I ended up using maybe 4 or 5 skeins of it all told. So it's a very large shawl, but I really like it. So this is finally done. It took almost exactly 1 whole year to get on and off my needles. I was really happy when I finished it. Blocking it was a little bit challenging just because of the size. I couldn't quite get it on my blocking mats properly. So there was a lot of using a rug with T-pins to kind of try and get it to go. So it's done. I'm happy that I don't really have any works in progress right now that are just languishing. I kind of finished all of those, which is a really good feeling. So this is all nice and done, nice and toasty, and because it's Sylvia, it's beautiful. Her patterns are so nice, and she's such a great person. I really enjoy her. So yeah, there's the Parker Street, which is much larger than it should have been. But if you want a nice blanket, this is a pretty nice blanket. So that's my second finished object. And my third finished object is another pair of socks. I finished a pair of Rose City Rollers, which is a free pattern by Mara Catherine Briner, and I'm wearing them, and I've been wearing them for 3 days straight, so hopefully they're not too dirty. But this is how they fit. They're nice. I like them. So I used a skein, a 50-gram skein of Koigu Premier Painter's Palette Merino KPPPM or whatever. I got this from the Fiber Nook, which is my favorite local yarn store. And the colorway is 700p, because, you know, why have colorway names when you can just have numbers and letters? So yeah, these are the newest pair of socks, and I think that I finally figured out what my socks should be. I wear a lot of ankle socks, and a lot of them are just like cheap ones that I got at Superstore, and these ones fit as closely to those ones as I've found so far. So I did 1 by 1. Oh my god, there's so much hair. I did a 1 by 1 rib on the ankle just because I find when I do the stockinette cuff, they fall off my feet no matter what. So I really like doing the 1 by 1 rib at the top. I did just like the normal pattern heel flap that it calls for. One of the things though that I find when I'm wearing them, and it's so gross because you can see like where my heel was, the heel flap doesn't quite go down far enough, so I might do a couple extra rows of the heel flap just to give it a snugger fit on my heel, because I do find that it kind of pulls the cuff back down on the side when I'm wearing them. I know how long to knit these for now, and in terms of the toe, I kind of figured out that I need to give myself a couple extra rows of stockinette before I start the decreases, just to give it a little bit better fit. But generally, I think this is where I'm supposed to, you know, kind of do most of my socks too. Check out my feet! Yeah, basically. So yeah, nice and done. I did use a 2.25mm needle for those ones, which is a US size 1. The toes are leftover Manostel Uruguay from my succulent shawl, which is in the sand colorway. Everything else, needle-wise, because I did write down what needle sizes I used. My Parker Street, I used the pattern needles. I don't do a lot of gauge swatches, and I just kind of just use what's recommended for the most part, unless it, you know, needs to fit. So with my Rose City Rollers though, like I'm not sure. I'm sorry for giving you so much feet today, but when you're wearing socks, like how much give should I have? Like I'm not sliding around in them, but I still feel like they're maybe a little bit big. So I think maybe, well, maybe even next time I'll try the 56 stitch instead of the 64, because these ones I knit 64 stitches on 2.25. Maybe going down to 56 might give me a little bit more of a snugger fit, but I'm pretty happy with these ones. I think they're the closest that I've gotten to having socks that fit me properly. They've been worn in shoes, they feel good in the boots that I'm wearing, and I'm kind of on the hand knit socks bandwagon. I kind of just want to have a whole bunch. But that is not a good idea because I have got to work on my work in progress basically any time that I can. So I finally started my wedding shawl, and I will show you that now. And I'm sorry about the lighting. It's the sun's kind of basically going down already. When you live this far north, you don't get a lot of sun in the winter. And I was on the phone with the Atrium Inn from Vancouver before this, trying to reserve a room for Knit City next year, and they're actually sold out. So we're gonna have to figure out something else, because right now I just have a standard room that doesn't have the discount for 2 nights, and then a room that's completely different for the last night, and I just want to find an Airbnb that we can all get drunk and have fun and not have to go to the Atrium for, but still close enough that we don't have to like figure out transportation to get to the hotel. Anyways, I got this bag. This is one of my stash enhancement bags. I got this bag at Knit City. It's from Katie of Nekozuki Knits. I love it. It's got a really sweet wrist wrap thing. And of course, it's just got cats on it because I love cats. So yeah, this is from Katie of Nekozuki Knits. I love this bag. I love all of her bags. I get a lot of compliments on them because I have another one of hers, another wedge bag. So that's one of the things I picked up in Knit City. Another one of the things that I picked up in Knit City is some Hinterland. So I picked up 5 skeins of Hinterland Range, which is their worsted base. And there is approximately 198 yards per skein. And it's a 2-ply woolen spun worsted weight yarn. And it's 50% Canadian Ramoulet and 50% homegrown alpaca. It is soft and luxurious, and I need to have a sweater of this at some point. So there's the ball band, and here's the yarn. I wound them all up so I don't have any hanks to show, but this is their snow colorway, and it's basically just an ivory. I'm not sure if this is undyed. I don't know. I could probably look at the label, but I just don't want to. So this is the ivory. I picked up 5 skeins of these for my wedding shawl. My sister-in-law Caitlin knit the With Ease pattern from Sylvia out of this, and I kind of panicked a little bit about it matching my wedding dress, and it kind of looks a lot more yellow even right now. It looks a lot more yellow than it does in the hank. So I was really concerned that it wasn't gonna look good with my wedding dress. I was really concerned that I wasn't gonna like it. So I put off starting my shawl for quite a while. And then I got my wedding dress in. My wedding dress finally showed up the weekend before, or the week before Remembrance Day long weekend. I got to go with my mom and my baba and my bridal party to put it on, and it was everything that I wanted it to be, and it's so gorgeous. And we brought, you know, this and Caitlin's shawl, and my sister-in-law on my fiance's side, Carla, brought yarn for me to use just in case, but we got to test out all of the different colors with my actual dress in the actual color that it is, and it looks fine. So my backup plan, instead of just using that, was to try and throw in a skein of mohair just to see if I can add a little bit more halo, if I can add a little bit of, I don't want to say dirtiness, but the ivory was very crisp, and I wanted something to kind of tone down that crispness. So I picked up 4 balls of Rowan Kid Silk Haze, and this is in the pearl colorway. And I need to go pick up one more that I have on hold, which is in the right dye lot, because this just is gonna be the most expensive shawl of all time. Just why not? But this is the mohair that I picked up. So it's not quite like, it's like an oatmeal, but it's also like a soft purpley lavendery kind of blush color. It works really well with my dress swatch. And I started my shawl. So my shawl is the Dancing with Bears shawl, which is a paid pattern on Ravelry by Carol Sunday. And I started this a week ago. I actually spent all of Saturday last weekend casting it on, which was a process. And then as soon as I was knitting the first row of the shawl, I messed up somewhere, tried to think back to just like whatever, figure out what I did wrong. And in the process, I dropped a bunch of stitches on the cast on and put it in a pile and left it and came back the next day. Because you know when you're frustrated and you've basically spent an hour and a half casting something on, if not 2 hours that day, and then you mess it up immediately and you're like, oh, my entire day was basically wasted just now. Cool. So I left it on Saturday. On Sunday, I ripped it all apart again, which was kind of a pain in the ass because the yarn halo-y parts were catching each other and it was ending like knots. So I just constantly had to reconfigure the yarn and try and not ruin it while I was ripping it apart, and then the mohair bits were getting caught in the hinterland bits, and it was a process undoing it. So then I spent Sunday recasting it on, and now we are basically, oh my gosh, this is such a mess. Like, can I just, you know, and I looked at this because I was in the middle of a row before I started recording, and I actually just tinked back to the beginning of the row because I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna spend 45 minutes knitting this row, so I'll just go back. It's easier to go back than it is to go forward. So this is my shawl so far. I don't know which side is the wrong side. I don't really think it matters at this point. But this is as far as I got in a week. This is gonna take a long time. So the pattern itself calls for a picot cast on, and you're casting on over 430 stitches for your picot cast on, which took a long time. And then it's essentially knit bottom up, so it's a lace bottom, and then once you get up to the top it's all garter back and forth. But I don't know why I didn't expect this to take so long. I was like, oh, it's worsted weight, it'll go by so quickly. Well, when your rows are over 400 and now I'm over 450 stitches long, and it's like 2x2 rib for most of it and then a little bit of lace, it takes forever. Like, this is bananas. So my sister-in-law gave me a cable connector the other day, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna need it. And she's like, well, just put a 16-inch cable on it and then you'll have more room. I put a 34-inch cable on it. So this is now, I can't even like, can you, like, this is ridiculous. I put a 34-inch cable on it on top of the 47-inch cable that I had. Like, it's ridiculous how many inches of shawl I have here. So I'm really happy with it so far, even though it's taking a long time, to say the least. I've been binge watching all of the television shows while I'm doing this because literally each row, one row will take me 40 to 45 minutes to complete. So it's an investment in time. And it's also kind of like, oh, this is so lame. It's kind of a metaphor in a way. So when I cast it on, I was unhappy with it. I was trying to figure out how to fudge the numbers and like, oh, I don't understand why this isn't working. Like, maybe I can just make something up and just, you know, continue on. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, is that a good thing to do? Like, it's kind of lazy. If we just redo it, we'll make sure that everything's good and put in all the stitch markers to make sure that I'm counting right and that my stitch count is good, that everything else is working out properly. So it was almost like a metaphor for marriage. I hate how sentimental getting married has made me. It's awful. But, you know, just kind of like, I have to work at it. This is something that I want to be nice, so you can't kind of fudge it. You have to actually work at it and take your time and make sure that you're doing it properly. And if it's not proper, then you gotta stop and you gotta work on it. And so when I had all of the pile of frogged shawl on the couch, I made Ross come up and like, I need good vibes. I need your love and consideration and your hopes for the future. And you just like touch the yarn and make sure that you're putting in all of your like hopes for everything into this because it's my wedding shawl. And yeah, it was pretty lame. And we had just eaten breakfast and he for some reason had like egg yolk on his hand, and I'm like, don't get the egg yolk vibes in there. And he was like, but the egg yolk is the part that like it's the nutrition and it nurtures everything for growth. And I was like, okay, fine, you win. Like, let's just be really sappy, and I guess the egg yolk vibes, you know, they can go in there too. But it's something that I'm trying to get a couple rows done a day on. I think in total there's 34 lace rows on the border, and I was looking the other day kind of at the pattern, and you start off with 436 stitches and then you increase because there's yarn overs in these little sections here and there's no decreases yet, so it is increasing. So I'm sure I have about 450 stitches now, but you end up at the end of the lace chart with like 290. So it does go down after a while, which is really reassuring. And then once you're kind of done all that, it's just garter. So I am a little concerned about, you know, just getting it done. And motivation wise, like I have a bunch of other stuff, like some secret things that I want to do for the wedding. And I just want to get this done as soon as possible so I can move on and work on those things instead. The other thing that I'm having frustration with is just the amount of knots that are in these. You can kind of see that I've cut these. So I have experienced 2 knots in the yarn so far. And when I was winding the other skeins, I know that this skein was probably one of the best ones for knots, but the other ones, there was a lot of knots in them. So usually when I am knitting something like in this yarn weight, especially in the Parker Street, I didn't cut my knots. And my authenticity shawl, all of my shawls that I have done so far, I have not been cutting my knots out. I just knit them in, and they, for some luck of the draw reason, always end up being clumped on the wrong side. But on this one, like I said, it's a metaphor for marriage. I've been cutting them out, and I'll weave in the ends just to make sure that there's no knots in them. So what can I say? I'm getting better at doing things properly. But you can kind of tell, I don't know how well you'll be able to tell, just with this lighting stitch that I've got going on here. It has changed the color of this yarn slightly. It's a little bit less crisp like I wanted, but it also gave it a lovely, lovely halo. And I'll use my bed to try and, there you go. So if you can see at the back of my bed there, you can kind of see the halo. But I'm really shocked, like Sylvia was telling me, you know, try the mohair thing when I saw her in Vancouver and I was talking to her. She's like, try the mohair thing, you'd be surprised. And honestly, I am surprised because you look at this, which is the little nugget that I'm using, but you look at this and you're like, well, how can this one strand deliver so much drama? And it just does. So like mohair is gonna be my gateway fiber to like other things that aren't necessarily, I don't know, I just want to kind of experiment more with using mohair, with using other weird fibers put together, and yeah, I'm really enjoying how this feels. It is luxe. It is probably going to be the most expensive shawl that I will ever knit, because I don't even want to talk about how much money I've spent on the yarn for this. But I'm really happy with it. I think it's going to be beautiful. I think it's going to be really warm, considering I'm getting married in the middle of January in Alberta, which is one of the most, in Edmonton, in one of the most northern cities, capital cities in the world. So I'm hoping it'll be really nice and warm. And it'll look amazing with my dress. That's all I gotta say. So besides the false start and frustration of last weekend, it's been going fairly well so far. And I'm hoping to make some solid headway on that this week because I have a couple meetings at work. So that's essentially all I'm working on. That needs to get done. I'm not allowed to do any fun knits. I really want to start a Sunset Highway sweater by Caitlin Hunter, but that has to wait. I am not allowed to have fun knitting until after January because I still have a couple secret things that I want to do. I still don't know if we're going to be knitting things for my ladies. We're in crunch mode right now, so I'm trying to keep my wanting of doing other things like knitting another pair of socks and all that kind of stuff. That has to wait until after this wedding is done because we're getting down to like the nitty-gritty crunch time. So yay. And I'm drinking red wine today because my mom's mad at me. I got my septum pierced yesterday, if you can see. And she found out and she was not happy. And I was waiting for it all day. I was waiting for her to be like, what did you do? But she didn't see it until like late last night. And then she told me she's not gonna talk to me for 3 days. There are worse things I could have done. This thing can get flipped up, it's fine. So she'll come around. But right now she's not talking to me. So I'm drowning my sorrows in red wine and celebrating the fact that we met with our marriage officiant this morning and it was awesome. And she's adorable and she's great. And we're gonna try to get some Princess Bride monologue, like marriage is forever in there, and also Carl Sagan. So I'm really excited to kind of write our own marriage ceremony and our vows and stuff, and I'm pretty excited. So yeah, so I'm drowning my sorrows and excitement in red wine because we literally have like 20 bottles of wine in our cupboards, and why not? I have to work tomorrow on a Sunday, so I might as well enjoy my Saturday. So when it comes to stash enhancement, I was trying to find all the yarn that I bought at Knit City, and I couldn't because I really didn't buy a lot of yarn this year. So some of this stuff is Knit City, some of it is, you know, just having a really kick-ass yarn store down the street from me now. And it's really funny because when I went to Knit City, I obviously had plans for I need to find yarn for my wedding shawl. I had a couple other projects in mind for yarn that I was buying, but I didn't feel the need to like buy a lot of yarn this year. And I think that's because we have 2 yarn stores in Edmonton now. And the one close to my house carries a lot of stuff that I would buy there. So I didn't feel that frantic need to like stock up this year like I usually do, because I was kind of feeling like, oh, it's okay. I've got a yarn store that's gonna bring stuff in that it kind of speaks to me on a regular basis. So I didn't feel the need to just like go hard and buy everything. And this is also my 3rd year going to Knit City, so you kind of taper off after the first year or 2. So I did get some stuff. So I'll kind of show what I picked up. I picked up 3 skeins, so I didn't bring all of them in. I picked up 3 skeins of this yarn ink, and this is the tweed sock, so it's 438 yards, 85% superwash merino, 15% nep, which I'm assuming is the little tweed bits. And this is, I believe, the birch. Yeah, the birch colorway. So it's got some blues and some greens. It's colors that I'm not typically gravitated? Yeah, that's what I was going for. Colors that I'm not typically gravitating towards, but I thought it would be fun to branch out and try something different. So yeah, there's a lot of like pretty, and now the light's gonna be terrible because the sun's literally going down. Lots of little speckles of browns and greens and all of that kind of stuff. So I have 3 skeins of this, which I had the intention of knitting, I think it was the Dear Watson cardigan by Nadia Cretin-Lechin. I knit one of her patterns I knit her Good Vibes shawl, and I really like her sweaters. So this was picked up with the intention of doing a sweater, which I'm not going to be able to start until at least February. So that's kind of like on the burner. I also picked up 2 skeins of sweet fiber in the Super Sweet Sock, which is 415 yards of 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And this is the alizarin colorway. And I picked up 3 of these as well. I just didn't pick all of them. So it's almost like a red wine kind of burgundy with some browns and some peachy coral kind of like orangey colors in there. But this I have the intention of knitting an Iris Shrug by Bee Mandarines. I believe that's what it's called. So once again, I was really trying to pick up yarn with a purpose, like it had to have a reason behind it. So I want to knit the Iris Shrug by Bee Mandarines. So that's what that's going towards. And then lastly, besides my 5 skeins of Hinterland, I picked up 2 skeins of Mantosh in her Toshmo Light. I think they're both Toshmo. Yeah, Toshmo Light. So I picked up the pink clay and the optic in the single ply there. And I have the intention of knitting either a bendy arrow or a Le Milieu, something in these, because these are my colors right now. Everything that I own. I got a new phone, so this is my first time doing a podcast with my iPhone 8 Plus. So luckily it still fits in my glyph for my tripod, but everything lately is this color, including my wedding dress. So we've got a little bit of a theme going here. So yeah, I've been really drawn towards these colors, and I would really like to knit myself a beautiful shawl to like wear out of these. I just don't know which one yet. And then I also bought myself a loom. So that was kind of the main expense for Knit City besides my 5 skeins of Hinterland. But I bought myself a loom, and this, I actually upgraded my loom from the one that was offered in the class that I took. So I took an Intro to Weaving 101 with Lucy Poskett, who is amazing. She's adorable. I love her. But I took the Intro to Weaving class, and with the Intro to Weaving class, you got course materials that were part of the cost of the class. And it included a lap loom. I don't remember what size, but I had sent her a message while, 3 pitchers of sangria deep the night before at Taco Vino, asking if I could upgrade my loom to a larger size and pay the difference. So I ended up doing that. So I picked up a standing loom. So it's got the stand so you can use it on the tables, which the one that was offered in the class didn't have. And it also has a tension bar. I also have a whip in here It has a tension bar at the bottom so that you can tension your warp a little bit easier, just with the clamps at the back. And it's a little bit larger. One of the things that I will kind of like to do in the future, just because I really love this, I find this a really relaxing and just like kind of mind calming activity to do, but I haven't really been working on it consistently. I really would like to get a smaller one so that I can do smaller wall hangings, because this one I find if I don't use all of the things to make it full size, that I do waste a lot of warp, but I guess it really doesn't matter too much. But it would be nice to have be able to do smaller ones without feeling like I'm being so wasteful, I guess. Because when you're doing wall hangings, you put like a piece of cardboard. Right now I have scrapbook paper in there just to kind of give myself some space. But yeah, you can see on the back here that you end up wasting quite a bit of cotton warp, and it's not like it's expensive or anything. But I've been having trouble finding the right twine that she had used in the course. And a lot of the cotton warps that I have tried have broken on me just because they're not strong enough to hold all the tension that ends up happening on one of those looms. So I do need to find a better warp. And she was using sign twine, but when it comes to ordering it, I want to find someplace in Canada that'll have it, just because shipping is ridiculous. And I want to do a little bit more research, I guess. But my local yarn store, the Fiber Nook, had some. I bought a cone of cotton from them to use, but it's snapped on me when I was trying to tension it properly, which is not a good sign. So I'm still kind of trying out some cotton options. I picked up some twine from the hardware store that I'm gonna try next, because it really doesn't matter what you use. But for me, there's all these different types of cotton that you can buy that have colors or just like different textures and stuff, but it's just making sure that it's strong enough to really hold itself together when you put that tension on. So I picked up that loom. I also picked up a shed stick, which is beautiful, nice and soft. And I picked up 2 needles that are incredible. They're just like super cool. And it's my color. So I picked up a couple of those extra things, and honestly, besides my 5 skeins of Hinterland, that loom was kind of the most expensive thing that I ended up getting this year. I really want to have secondary hobbies that, you know, aren't really reliant on knitting, but still use fiber in some way. And my intentions for taking this class was to figure out a different way to use those materials and eliminate some of the stash problems that I have, especially when you look at some of the stuff that I got from like Michael's or other yarns that I'm not necessarily too fond of to put on my body, but still kind of incorporate in a fibery way. And then I walked out of there knowing that I was gonna have a second stash problem because we ended up using really weird things in our weavings. She brought a whole bunch of materials that we could try and use. And they were like, you know, when you're sewing and you've got all of the loose threads that kind of come off the fabric before you either, you know, seal them up or whatever, she had piles of that she would shove into the weaves. And she had like fishing line and weird plastic remnants from like it. I was just like, oh my god, there's so many possibilities of things that you can do with this. And yeah, I highly recommend checking out Lucy's Instagram. Her name is Lucy Poskett, and I think she just goes by Lou Poskett. I don't know, but she's from Victoria and she teaches a lot of classes. So if you're on the island, if you're in Victoria or Vancouver, check her out because she's an amazing teacher. She's so kind and helpful and patient and just a wonderful person. So I highly recommend checking her out if you want to learn how to do this yourself. The loom also came from Knit City. She partnered with, I believe her name is Anna, and she's got an Etsy store called Woven Wood, and you can check out her site there for looms. I was really scared taking it home on the plane because I couldn't, I put it in my suitcase and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna break this. Like, I had put yarn babies in it and like made sure that, because sometimes they're really rough on suitcases, so packing my loom in my suitcase to come home afterwards was the most stressful part of my trip. Besides that, I picked up another couple skeins of Koigu, the same time that I picked up the ones that I'm wearing for the socks right now, and that was at the grand opening of the Fiber Nook on October 28th, I believe. So I had picked up 2 more skeins, and these are destined to become ankle socks as well. And the colorways, who knows? Who knows? P756. This is kind of purpley and greeny and bluey and all jewel tones. And then this one here is P524C, and this is kind of the same idea, but it's just a little bit more neutral and muted than the other skein. I love Koigu. I really love all the speckles. They're so great. What else? I have an umbrella swift over there that I picked up. There's really no point showing you. I don't know why I brought it in here. But I picked up an umbrella swift from the Fiber Nook as well because they had a 15% off sale on their grand opening. So I figured, why the hell not? I want one of those. I am now trying to sell my Amish Swift. So if you're interested in an Amish Swift, I don't really know what to tell you because I really wouldn't be comfortable shipping it. So if you're local and you want an Amish Swift or a peg loom, like a lap loom, I have a Harrisville 12 by 16 lap loom for sale as well. Let me know because obviously I could use some money right now. I also picked up at Knit City a tote bag. So here's Lady Baba. And my intention for this one is to frame it. So I need to get a frame for this mother. So this is gonna get framed and I'm just gonna put that up on the wall instead of using it as a tote bag because I have 7 million tote bags now. And then in terms of other kind of stuff, this year was the year of buying enamel pins. So I picked up a bunch and I don't even know who made them or where they were from, but I picked up an Everything Will Be Okay pin. I picked up, finally, a Bombasine pin, the Angry Feminists Knitting Club, because that's basically my life. I think that this was from Julie Aslin's booth. It's one stitch at a time. I don't know if it's focusing. There's not a whole hell of a lot I can do about that. And this is from Twill and Print. Starting to lose my voice. This one I got from the Fiber Nook, so it's just my, oh my god, this is awful. Boop. Whatever. No! Who has time to worry about focusing? And this is my Stitch and Witch, so this is another Bombasine pin, and I'm really excited about it. This one I also think is from Julia Aslin's booth from Twill and Pearl. It's just a little sheepy. A sheepy weeps. And Knit Social was selling limited edition Lady Baba enamel pins, so duh, I had to get one. Because me and the lady are BFFs. And then I also got a full-time feminist pin. Cause damn fucking straight. And these ones I know came from the London Fields shop. I just don't know who made them. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for all of my like stash enhancement stuff. I also, along with every other podcaster that has podcasted about Knit City, picked up Gentle Armor from Sylvia. And it's just incredible. What's that? Oh, Calgary Fiber Festival, I can't go to that. So yeah, it's just really beautiful. She's got a I don't know if she's self-publishing, but her books and her photographs are always just so friggin' amazing. Like, she's just so talented. I really admire Sylvia. So I picked up one of those Gentle Armor books. And then on top of that, this is the little booklet that I got from Lucy's class. So you can see her contact info there. I highly encourage you to just check her out. Her Instagram is Lou Poskett, so L-U-P-O-S-K-I-T-T, and she's great. So this is a really nice book. I would really like to take more of her classes in the future if I ever get a chance. And then because I have a pouch problem, I found a whole bunch of little pouches at this store that like resells Urban Outfitters stuff for like real cheap after it's kind of gone through its season. And then I'm not sure if you saw on my wedding shawl, but I'm using these Brass Kitten stitch markers that I got at Knit City as well. So that's kind of all of my hauls for the last little bit. I'm missing things, but man, if I was to actually like talk about all the stuff that I've been buying myself lately, we would be here for 5 days because I've been very bad. I also picked up some clearance fabric. So this is just like a light gray. This is some darker gray. And then this is the wrong side, but I've got some striped fabric. And the intentions with these is to make bento bags along with the last round of fabric that I still haven't touched. But this will hopefully be bento bags at some point. Oh shoot, I still have stuff. At the Fiber Nook, when it came to like the grand opening, I also picked up a bag with llamas on them. And I've never used a box bag before for knitting. So I've got a box bag for that now. And then yesterday, I was at the Royal Bison Fair and I got to meet someone who I really admire and I follow on Instagram. I got to meet Maria from Fembroidery because she's here in town for the weekend. And I picked up one of her embroideries. So I picked this one up. I'm looking for a place to put it. I've got a whole bunch of stuff to hang in my office. I've got a new IKEA dresser to put together with like cat drawer pulls. So I'm really excited to work on there. Some of you guys might have seen, I cannot talk anymore. This is my mother hexing me for putting a hole in my face 2 months before my wedding. But yeah, I've been working on cleaning up my office space, and eventually one of these days I'll be able to do like a tour because we're getting there. Ross and I have been cleaning out our apartment nonstop, getting rid of stuff, finding spaces, organizing, doing all of that kind of stuff, and I'm feeling like really good about it. We still have a lot to do and a lot of things to go through, but it's so nice kind of feeling like my place is kind of becoming a little bit more organized and a little bit less cluttered and a little bit more intentional. So I'll be able to do a tour eventually when it comes to my office space, which is really exciting because I have a bunch of pretty little things to put up and all of that kind of stuff. Other than that, that's kind of it for all of my knitting stuff. Wedding-wise, like I said, I'm getting married in 56 days. The time's going by really fast. We still don't have a caterer. We do have a photographer. We do have an officiant. My dress is in. Ross has his suits. My mom is sewing my bridesmaids' dresses, and that's supposed to happen this week. I'm gonna start thinking about doing my hair trial. I ordered shoes from ModCloth and got a coupon code through this app that I use to find coupon codes. So I ended up getting wedding shoes from ModCloth and saving money on them. Now I'm just really, really hoping that they fit because that would be a huge bummer if they didn't fit. My wedding shawl's in progress. Been finding music. It's kind of all starting to roll together and we're figuring all of this stuff out. The problem with all of this is that Christmas kind of gets in the middle of the way. So I'm really hoping to have everything for the most part all figured out, all the contracts signed, all of the stuff done by Christmas. Just because with holidays and New Year's Eve and all of that kind of stuff, I feel like those 2 to 3 weeks before the holidays might be bad when it comes to like getting a hold of people, having people available, and just being at work. The agency that I work for gives us time off, paid time off, and then when the holidays are done, it's January 2nd, and I would really like to not be stressed in the 2 to 3 weeks before my wedding. I've had to go off birth control for health reasons, trying to figure out hormones, so that's been a bit of a not fun experience for me because my skin is doing dumb things and my hair is doing dumb things and my body's doing dumb things. So the less that I am stressed and overwhelmed and freaking out about stuff, hopefully the more my skin will be calm and I won't have any like massive bouts of hormonal acne on my face or anything like that. So we're hoping to get most of that stuff done so that I can enjoy the holidays and, you know, not be losing my mind when I go back to work, and I'm trying to get as much work done as possible before our wedding. We also ended up booking a honeymoon, and thank you WestJet for having a Black Friday sale. So Ross and I are going to be taking a week and going to Victoria. We're flying into Victoria right after the wedding, staying for a week and coming home. Not sure what we're doing yet, but if you live on the island and you can recommend like places to go, yarn stores that maybe are kind of out of the way, we're thinking about doing a couple days in Victoria and then leaving the city and going to like a place where there's nobody around. We were talking about going to Tofino and maybe renting an Airbnb and just kind of being in the middle of nowhere for a bit. But we haven't really started planning that yet. So I don't know, I'm really excited about it. I really wanted to do the West Coast for our honeymoon. We were supposed to go to Iceland, but Iceland's expensive and can't afford that right now. We're getting married, for crying out loud. So yeah, it's been a little bit more fun lately. I'm not as stressed and miserable about the wedding planning process. Now it's just trying to figure out the little tiny logistic things like that, I don't know, the things that I'm not thinking about, the things that I'm forgetting, and working on our ceremony now and just making sure that we've got everything together. So wedding stuff is okay. I'm stressed more about the money than I am about anything else that comes with it, because I need to stop spending money on stuff. Holy moly. We had a wedding shower last 2 weeks ago during the long weekend, and it was awesome. It was one of those moments where it's like, oh my god, I am getting married. This is so exciting. Like, it kind of made it a little bit more real. And then when we went to get our marriage license this week, I was just like, oh my goodness, we're doing it. So yeah, it's just such a strange time in my life, I guess, to be, I don't know, it's just strange, but it's cool at the same time. Yeah, it's just that weird thing where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm growing up and I didn't think I would ever grow up. Yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much all that I've really been focused on. I will talk briefly about Knit City really quickly. It's just my favorite. Knit City is my favorite. I had a great time. This year was a little bit better because they didn't have a lecture on Saturday night. It was only the Friday night, and the Friday night lecture was with Stephen West, who is so soft-spoken and sweet and humble and gentle, and you know, you see his videos where he's kind of on. It's really interesting to see what Stephen West is just as himself when he's not on. Great sense of humor, just really, really sweet and wonderful and nice, and I got to talk to him a couple times that weekend, took some pictures, all that kind of stuff. You know, he's just a really nice, sweet person. So there was the lecture with Stephen West. I ate a lot of taco fino this time. Spent a lot of time hanging out with Bernadette, who is Eco Geek, who used to be on the West Coast Wolves podcast. I know she and Sylvia are starting their own audio podcast, which I'm really excited about. But I spent a lot of time hanging out with Bernadette and a lot of time hanging out with Elise from My Two Tips. And I know that if I ever end up moving to Vancouver, we're gonna all be best friends. Because we like hanging out and harassing boys in bars and being drunk and loud, and yeah, we had a good time. I had a good time with you guys, like a really good time. And it was also nice to see just friends that I don't see very often. You know, it's really interesting to see how the Knit City kind of evolution has happened. Like the first year that I was there, I didn't know anybody, and you know, the second year I made a whole bunch of new friends, and now it kind of feels like I have to, I don't know, I don't get enough time to see everybody. And everything's so crazy and busy that it's really hard to kind of split time to see everybody and to really, I don't know, it's hard. It's harder now that I know a lot of people and I want to see everybody, and then you're just like, well, I can't do that because, you know, it's only 2 days. So I wish that that Knit City community was there all year round, because it's just, it makes me so happy. And I'm somebody who has never really had a lot of girlfriends. I've never really known how to interact with girls, because growing up I was always that person who was like, well, I don't really like girls. I don't like hanging out with them. So I had a lot of dude friends growing up because I was like, oh, girls are stupid. They're like there's so much drama, blah, blah, blah. You know, like that when you're talking about feminism and stuff, and it's like, well, I'm not like other girls. So that was kind of me growing up. And now that I'm in my 30s, and it's nice to kind of have those relationships that I never really had, and it's hard to kind of establish how to make those when you're an adult. So this whole like knitting thing has really kind of showed me some really amazing people and a really amazing community, and Knit City is just one of those weekends where I love everything about it. It's my favorite weekend of the year, like fuck Christmas. Knit City is the only weekend I care about. So it kind of made me a little sad thinking about next year, because who knows, maybe this was the last year that I'll be able to go to Knit City and drink. Like, who knows, maybe I'll be pregnant next year. Maybe, you know, my sister-in-law will have a baby. Like, we won't, I don't know. It was just this weird sense of this was the best year, but it also might be the last year of things just being easy and simple. You know, like it's just this weird sense of, I really enjoyed it and I wanted it to be like what all Knit Cities will be like, but it's that realization that we're at a time in life now where a lot of things are going to start changing, and who knows if I'll even be able to go next year, you know? Like, there's just so many factors that are up in the air at this moment because my life is going to change, and it's just weird. It's weird to think about. It's weird to think that I packed my spring clothes away, and as I was packing them up because it's winter, I was like, I'll see you guys when I'm married. Like, I don't know, it's just such a strange, I'm at a strange crossroads in life. Like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I hope some of that made sense. Like, maybe half of it. If half of it made sense, I'll be happy. But yeah, it's just definitely one of those times in my life where I'm kind of reflective and just thinking a lot. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all that I really have to talk about. Like I said, I'm not gonna really do another full-scale podcast until after my wedding is done, but I would like to kind of just put up some vlogs about what I've been up to, maybe talk about some of the projects that I'm working on as I'm working on them, and then post it all kind of in a vlog format instead of having just a really formal sit down time commitment, just because there's so many things that I need to be doing right now that I feel really bad. I don't want to say I feel bad doing this, but I know that there's other things that I need to prioritize with 56 days left and not having a caterer and not having a song to like dance with anybody to, like, so there's a lot of things that I kind of need to work on top of this in terms of priorities. But I really wanted to update everybody, get all this stuff out of the way, send out those prizes. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and yeah, if you have any questions, comments, if I forgot to talk about something and you just want to know something, send me a message. Like I said, you can find me on Instagram as Loose Pages, and you can find me on Ravelry as romperlust, or you can message me here. Pretty accessible. So that's pretty much it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like, hit that subscribe button. We're almost up to 800, which is pretty exciting. 700? 800? I don't know. But if you like, please subscribe. Please keep in touch. Let me know what you'd like to see on this channel, or if there's new things, because while I'm taking a break getting married, I'm also thinking about what I want to do with this going forward. And if there are things that you would like to kind of explore with me on this podcast, let me know, because I'm really looking forward to having freedom again and not being obsessed about a wedding. And I have a lot of plans for 2018. But if you want to kind of see a bit of that, or if you want to see something specific on this channel, let me know. At this point, I'm like looking to revamp stuff and change things up. So if you have any constructive criticism or anything that you think would be beneficial, pass it on. I'm all ears. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna go. Oh, I didn't talk about my septum piercing. I decided to do it because I tend to do stupid things before life decisions. So before I turned 30, I dyed my hair purple and then spent a lot of money trying to get the purple out. And at this point I was just like, I've wanted to do this for a while. It's the one face piercing that I can have that's not gonna leave a scar, that's easy to hide. So this was my active rebellion before I get married. I'm planning on hiding it for the wedding. I don't want it down. But I was like, you know what? I really wanted to heal before the wedding so that after the wedding I could just do whatever I want. And that was kind of it. It didn't really hurt as much as I was expecting it to, but it was a weird feeling. I also got my ear pierced again because I have 2 holes on this side, but one grew in, so I just wanted them to be level. So that was kind of my guiding factor, where I was like, I'm gonna go in and do this, I might as well just do this at the same time. So it didn't hurt, but it was uncomfortable. My eyes started watering and I had my sneeze reflex just kind of like ready and waiting to go, and meanwhile it was just a ton of pressure on my face. It hurt going outside and being in the cooler air more than it hurt getting it done. And then yesterday we went out to see some of our family friends. We went over there for dinner and just to hang out for a bit last night, and I was eating food and it hurt. It hurt a lot to eat on this side, and my eyes were watering. Just the like motion of my jaw was kind of aggravating it. Sleeping was okay. washing my face and putting makeup on, not so easy. So I'm hoping that it stops hurting in the next couple days. But for the most part, it hasn't been, I forget about it, except for the fact that it, like, I can feel it. But I really love it. I don't care what my mom says. I have a day or 2.5 days left until she starts talking to me again. But yeah, Mom, if you're watching this, even though I know you're not, I'm an adult. And when I'm around you and my father, I will flip it up so that you don't have to see it. But at this point, I'm a grown-ass adult getting married, and I can do what I want. Just like, don't be too disappointed. I know you still love me, and you know what? Maybe one day you might even think it's cute. Just gonna say it. So you can stop ignoring me now, because I actually have really important questions that I need to ask you for wedding reasons. So just like, get over it. Don't tell her that I am planning a tattoo after I get married too. Sorry, Mom. Ross thinks it's cute, and that's all that matters. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna end it here. I will see you guys after I'm married. So, woo, this will have a friend the next time that I sit down to do a formal podcast. So yeah, if you won a prize, and one of them, don't even worry about it. Caitlin, I'll just pass it off to you. But if you want a prize, please let me know how to get a hold of you, your contact info, address, that kind of thing. And I'll pass your names on to Megan and Sarah for your pattern choices. Other than that, I hope that everybody has a wonderful holiday season. I am not a Christmas person, so don't plan on seeing a lot of Christmas things from me, just because it stresses me out. And I've got wedding stuff to do instead. So I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, a wonderful holiday, Happy New Year, and I will see you when I am married. So that's so crazy. That's so crazy. But yeah, have a good rest of the year, and I will talk to you guys formally in probably February. So thank you all for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and see you on the other side. Bye.